What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Agents to Owners podcast. I am looking forward today to getting to know this next guest a little bit better. I've seen her a lot on the IAOA Facebook group and wanted to connect with her for a while now. Out of San Antonio, Texas, owner of T. Blackwell Insurance Group, Tracey Blackwell, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Brad. Thanks for the opportunity to come out and chit chat.
Yes, I am excited to have you on. You just seem like a delight when I have seen you and when I've been following you on your social media pages and just always delivering a positive message and so involved with the community. So I'm looking forward to getting into all of that. For those that don't know you, though, let's give a little bit of background on Tracey and how you found the insurance industry.
Probably like most people, insurance found me, right? I don't think I ever said out of college, man, I can't wait to be an insurance agent.
No.
I didn't do that. I was with a large grocery company out of Texas for 20 years, and I used to oversee the 56 stores here in San Antonio. However, my spouse also worked for HEB, and at the time we chose to have two little guys. And at some point I said, maybe one of us should like raise the kids that we brought into this world. And so literally I left and wanted to become a Boy Scout mom, soccer mom, and just kind of stumbled into
Yeah.
insurance. I kept getting recruited by financial planners, but I don't want to say I'm Thomas the Doubter, but I just didn't trust people. I just thought they just want my 401k because I'm sure they figured I had a good 401k. And they kept getting recruited, said, oh, you would do great. Oh, you'd do great. And I didn't trust anybody. However, I hired an executive coach, did some online assessments, and it said, hey, insurance. I'm like, maybe this is God saying, girlfriend, you need to be going down this path. And literally, I went and worked with a guy that had my own home and auto for about probably 7 years.
Okay.
And then rolled my books, rolled my team, and started T. Blackwell Insurance Group.
What kind of led you to say I want to start my own? It's a pretty big
Mm.
jump.
Well, I was already doing it,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. And
Yeah.
I realized that I could do it on my own at that point. I already had my separate office. I was already paying all the rent. I was paying everything, but I wasn't, obviously, as you know, as an agency owner, getting all the benefits of the true
Yeah.
agency owner. However, I think if they would have offered me partner, I'd probably still be there, but that wasn't something
Yeah.
there. And I just decided that if I'm going to work this hard, it needs to go to
Yep.
back in my back pocket, into my
Yeah.
teams, and reinvest in them.
Yeah. Something I first heard Avery Moore say out of Oklahoma is that um, if you're not part of your own plan, you're a part of someone else's plan.
Right. And you
So
can be a part of somebody's plan because I don't advocate everybody go start their own agency
yeah.
if you have the right group that's willing to share and share fairly. And that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing is like I never want to lose people because I'm going to take care of them so that they want to stay with me. And you just can't be greedy. You got to share in the everything that you have to reap when you're reaping the benefits of the rewards. You have to pass it on to
Yeah.
others.
Yeah. If you can recall back, when when you made that jump, more work than you expected,
Huh.
less work, about the same.
I don't think I've ever been so freaking scared in my life. Like I was scared to go from every Thursday I got a paycheck, a very healthy paycheck when I
Yeah.
was with this large grocery company. In fact, I went 3 months worth of work here in the property and casualty, and my first paycheck's hanging up in the wall in my lobby, and it's for $1,129.
It's pretty
In
good.
3 months worth of work, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no training, no nothing. So I think I was scared then, but I was scared with excitement, right? It's a
Yeah.
different type of scared. When you start your own business, it's a totally different scared. Like I wasn't sure if I was going to get all my commissions because unfortunately it wasn't a good split, and so there,
Yeah.
and so it was kind of a little rocky and a lot of sleepless nights. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. At the time, I was scared to death. But sometimes you have to let go and let God to know that He has a plan for you along the way.
Yeah. I think what some things that we don't see or don't think of is all the moving parts that come with it. Like, when do you add a management system and which management system and even what phone company, all these different things. And then, when you start and then hiring. Some of us, maybe you in the grocery business had a little background of hiring and
Right.
managing. Many of us didn't, but there's just a lot that goes into it that we don't realize. So it become overwhelming real quick.
Right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your team? Because you've grown a pretty big team, I'd say, in the last 19 years, roughly
Mm-hmm.
one team member per year,
Yeah.
pretty close. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the background or your team and the business that you focus on.
Yeah, I mean, we're 98% commercial, and here's what I'll say that I think I've
Oh,
done a nice job on is I don't chase shiny, right? Because I know I could make a ton more money doing commercial, and I do some commercial, but that's not my bread and butter.
you're
And the
98% personal.
reason,
Yeah. Okay.
because 98% personal.
Okay.
And the reason why, and I don't chase the commercial, and I know I can make a whole lot more money. I know I can do all that, but one is I don't need to.
Yeah.
And two is I sleep good at night. And
Yeah.
if something's keeping me up at night at my age, then it frustrates me. And usually what stresses me out is potential E&O claims and all of that. And if we're not looking across the table going, Brad, this is the best thing for you, I shouldn't be selling it.
Yeah.
And I see too many people go after the bottom line dollar and try to make the money and really honk themselves up along the way. So going back to your question of like how I got started with hiring is Wendy is I'm going to call her from Top Gun. Wendy's my goose and I'm Maverick. She's been with me side by side for 18 of the 19 years.
Wow.
Went to church together. I can remember saying, hey, this company wants an EOI. She goes, what's that? I go, I don't know, man. And she was so mad at me. I'm like, I'm really not sure, but we'll figure it out. And now I always say it's safe to buy insurance from you. Probably the first year was kind of like I was just bumping along, made a lot of phone calls to make it happen.
Yeah.
But Wendy is somebody that worked part-time. I had to hire her under the condition that she's a master yoga instructor. And I had to hire her under the pretense that she could still do that for years. And she did that probably up until about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But you hire for the heart. I can tell you part of my strategy is I don't hire people in the business. I just don't.
Yeah.
Because they come in with preconceived ideas. I did one, and it was a disaster. And because I know what works. And sometimes they have to have what I call blind faith in me, kind of like we do when we're little kids going to Sunday school. We have total blind faith in whatever's going on. It's not until we get older we start questioning things with experience. And I don't want somebody to go figure out and do something different when I've already got the model that works.
Yeah.
So I hire people with the heart because then I don't have to worry about ethics and training. And I mean, as long as they've got the right heart, they're in.
Yeah. Yeah. You can train. Yeah. You can train them the rest if you have the right fit.
Correct.
Is Archie Bear the most important member of your team?
Absolutely, man. Archie, he's the golden retriever that comes to the office every day. And it's kind of interesting is that a fun fact is Gavin is on my team, who we also went to church together, but he was working at the doggy daycare. And he was working over the Christmas holidays. And I said, hey, how come you're not with your mom and dad on the trip? And he goes, because I couldn't get off. And I'm like, I said, why don't you come sell the insurance? And this is a kid that had been working split shifts at the doggy daycare. Just a young man that needed an opportunity. And sometimes I think we don't want to give opportunities because it takes so much time.
Yeah.
But man, when you give somebody a youngin an opportunity to set them up for success, and they want out, they just don't know how to get out. And so now he takes care of Archie Bear quite a bit. And well, the whole team, I have the best trained dog. And everybody's like, where did you take your dog to get training? I go, I've got 17 employees that train him every day.
As I was looking at that, and we used to have a dog, an office dog. And especially in these times when some days can be a little bit more stressful.
Sure.
And to have a dog, something like that kind of eases that stress a little bit. You think Archie has a stress in the world? He's worried about being petted, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just a great asset to your team, I think, or your office.
Yeah. And to customers. I mean, I have customers that show up. One lady would bring in her 4-year-old daughter and bring him treats, bring him toys. Now she would always cry when she left because she wanted to take Archie home. And I'm like, if you take Archie home, I'm going to cry because he's my sidekick.
And it's a beautiful dog.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, beautiful dog. So tell me about how if you have 19, is it 19 team members? 18,
17. 17
17,
people. Yep.
17 team members. Uh, it's a large team. Talk about how you grew the agency from 2006 to now. Referrals,
Mhm.
internet leads. How'd you do it?
So I have never purchased leads. I was endorsed by Dave Ramsey way back when for probably about 11 years. I still walk the talk and bleed, but I'm not going to pay that large of amount each month today. But I'd say that's the only lead generation I ever paid for, and that's because I really believed in it. However, everything else is, I would say that I had a 50 butt rule. 50 but if there was 50 butts in a room, I needed to be in there. But then you have to narrow it down that if I was going to be in a room with 50 butts, I'm just going to try to find 3. Because if not, I go to the buffet and I want to talk to everybody and be with everybody. But I have a 50 and 3, get in a room with 50 people and then follow up with 3 people. And it's looking around and seeing who can benefit from me and who can I benefit from, and then making sure you follow up with them, because the key is a lot of people go to these events because they're a lot of fun, especially if you're a high, what I call social person, but the magic is the follow up, and so many people don't want to do the follow up. They don't want to do the consistent showing up, handwritten cards. I mean, we handwrite cards. I don't type an email to thank somebody. It's a handwritten card with a fun stamp on it. I mean, I never put on just a traditional stamp because I think it stands out and it kind of speaks to our values and the core of who we are. Is fun.
Yeah, unique. You're
Yeah.
right. And then,
You can see it over there on the wall. Dare to be different. That's what I tell everybody. Just dare to be different. Because if not, you just make, I mean, everybody, they can go online to get insurance. They can go down the street to get insurance. But why are they coming to you? What are you known for? A lot of people, you figured out about me by just going and looking at social media, but you have to stand for something, and people have to have the remembrance of who is that person and why do I want to give them business? Because they have to know you, like you, and trust you. They don't know, like, and trust you. You don't have a prayer to get in front of them.
yeah. Even a unique stamp like that is going to stand out. You're 100% correct. That's going to catch an eye. Doesn't mean
Yeah,
someone to
because
say,
yeah. So here, like, we have some right here. We have in Texas, we have Cinco de Mayo. We have rail stations. We have cheers. You're awesome. You're the best. So even just being different on a stamp, you might not think that makes a difference, but it's part of your branding.
yes.
Of who you need to be.
Now, for your producers that signed down with you, did you instill that same philosophy of you need to go out there and network?
Yeah.
And
just one producer. I have one producer.
one producer. Okay.
Yep.
One producer. So are you doing a lot of producing yet yourself?
Well, I think maybe we need to redefine what that means. Like, she's going out getting business and doing that. I do go out to different networking events, but I would say that my strategy now is really to back off and have her go to those events, because people know Tracey Blackwell.
Yeah.
Right? They know me, but if I'm going to help her grow her business, I have to take a back seat and introduce her to some of these referral sources, and so that she's given the opportunity. Because, quite frankly, I'm fine. Financially, I'm fine, right? I need her to be fine. And the only way I'm going to do that is to let go, give her the opportunities, and then coach her up along the way. Like, I just sent her to go meet with the Safeco execs. And I just talked to her. I talked to her a lot. I said, you need to play big. By the time you leave, they need to know who Abby Simon is, and they need to be able to call and know you. So you better speak up. You better talk. You better ask. You need to, and we prep. We did some role playing, like, what questions are you going to ask? Because if you don't set people up for success, they fail.
100%. Yeah, and you're putting her in that. Boy, I love all that. How are you spending most of your time then?
I think it kind of varies day to day. I'll say that I have been in a BNI group for probably 12 years, but they're more of my friends, right? So I go once a week. I went there this morning, 7 a.m. It's my Wednesday, 7 a.m. meeting that I've gone to for, like I said, I think the last 11 or 12 years. We do a lot of, when I bought land, developed this office, and part of it is we've developed a conference room that holds 45 people, and we do a lot of training. We bring people in, and so you can use my conference room for free as long as we get to do a commercial, right? So we fill up the conference room, and then I'm talking to them. It's usually like just a 2-minute commercial about what we do. And then the rest of my time is, like I said, I do still do events, focusing on what I'm going to call the big whales, the ones that have been with me for a long time, the big clients, and then focusing on my team. And it's really about my background is processes, right? If you stay in your swim lane and you're hitting all 6 cylinders, you can go faster down the runway or down the highway. And so I've got my service team, my retention team, my sales team, and then I have a business development that she just goes out and sets up stuff for us. So getting everybody to be focused on, I don't want my sales team figuring out billing. So, and when you ask me about what I do, you won't want me to quote, because I haven't quoted probably in, I don't know, 10 years, right? But if you've got some liability questions, or if you got a hard customer that, nobody wants to deal with, and I have to kind of say, maybe we're not a good fit, that's my job. That's my job, is step in and do the hard stuff that others can't do. I still work directly with the sales team, and then I have one person that heads up the retention and the service team. And then I just focus on new business and sales.
I love that system. You are, by being so active, whether it's networking or your community events, you're the face, and you're probably, bringing in a lot of those referrals. Was that difficult for you to kind of get out of that, call it production role, where you're quoting, getting back to people, selling the policies? And was that a difficult transition for you? Because a lot of producers have problem letting go of that and passing it off, because what if they're not treated how I want to treat them? And what if they don't meet my expectations? That sort of thing.
Yeah, but in order to grow, you have to let go.
Yeah, you do.
I had to make some choices. Like, if I don't want to be working 100 hours a week. I don't even want to be working 50 hours a week. I did that for a long time. And I'll tell you this. When I started in 2005, I was already accustomed to working minimum 50 to 60 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
Typically it was 60 to 70, depending, because it's retail. You work the holidays, correct? I put in more hours my first 5 years in the business than I ever did working in retail. And part of it is because I was scared to death, right? Because my kids are going to private school. I still needed to make money. I had to figure things out. Part of it is because pure joy and excitement. And probably I was too ignorant to know how difficult it was to get the business up and running.
Yeah.
So I don't want to work forever and ever and ever.
No, me neither.
So
me neither. With your team and focusing on your team, speaking with a lot of agency owners, and me being one of them, I've been a lot more intentional over the last couple of years to just kind of check the temperature of our team, because, with all the craziness that's going on, the rate increases, the frustration, all that sort of thing, they can have hard days. And so I think it's important to even kind of keep in touch with their mental health, and really focus on releasing some of that pressure. What are some of the things you're doing, or that you do on a consistent basis to keep in touch with your team?
We have a staff meeting every morning at 8:30, right? And it's really just to check the temperature gauge. If I need to know, like, is somebody drowning, and do I need to reshift work or what have you? But then focusing on them, like we just did Halloween, right? And we had a lot of fun there. And I've been known for Fireball. That's the other part of my branding. I do have Fireball in the freezer, and we might have a Fireball shot or two every now and then, right?
That'll loosen it up.
Oh yeah, and usually that it's it's not like we drink all day, but
right.
It's a celebratory, like because we sold a huge policy, or because we got Dawson sold his first policy, or somebody got licensed, it's kind of that.
Love it.
A fun thing. But the other thing is, probably last month I shut the office down on a Friday, and we all went down to the coast. We rented a big house, and we focused on each team. What are their 3 goals? You hear three, you're going to keep hearing me say three, 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 because again, I think people get overwhelmed. We're at three things they want to work on. The market is shifting, and we have to pivot. And the pivot is really going back to hanging on to what we have even more so than ever. But we have to be just as much of a life insurance agency than I am a property and casualty. And we really talked a lot about that. And what's interesting is yesterday I walked by and one of my 21-year-olds said, yep, I told somebody, yep, we write just as much life insurance as we do property. So make sure we take care of you. And I was like, God, bam, was that worth that investment for 3 days hanging out at the beach, drink a beer, and just having some fun with my team when the 21-year-old can say, we are a life insurance company. Like sometimes I wonder, can I get them to the table to start going that direction? Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you lead, they'll follow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even through the hard times. And I tell them, I'm just checking in on you. I might pay for somebody to go get a massage. I send my youngest over to go trim up trees and clear a lot for one of my single moms with 2 kids. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I deeply care for my team in so many different ways. And that's where the missing is. I think people look at people as a commodity. They're not a commodity. I mean, it costs a lot of money to hire and train people to get them where you need to. And you just got to love on them. I mean, they'll have chili cook-offs. They all hang out together. They all like being out together.
That's special.
It
Yeah.
is.
And then you have a good group, and when you're going through these difficult times, it makes it that much easier, right? Because you're going through it together, and you
Right.
truly have a team, and you have a leader that knows, that cares about them. It's
Yeah.
everything. So
And I have to keep reminding them that this is not heart surgery. This is not brain surgery. This is just insurance. And at the
yeah,
end of the day, I always ask them, well, did you cause the rates to be so screwed up? I know I didn't have anything to do with
yeah,
it. I'm just kind of falling in line with inflation. I mean, if you
yeah,
haven't, I was kind of shocked how much chocolate candy costs because I haven't bought any in a while. Okay, we're just like the chocolate candy.
yeah,
Inflation was like $12 for a big bag. I mean, I never recall paying $12 for a big bag of chocolate, right? So now
right,
you look at the insurance is just kind of catching up with inflation. And I have to remind them, they didn't create that problem.
yeah,
Listen, understand, and tell them what you can do for them, not what you can't do for them. Hey, I can adjust your deductibles. Hey, I can do this. The minute you say can't, they're out the door, they're going somewhere else.
yeah. We've done that, and even just set up a whether it's a sticky note or whatever anybody wants to use, just some of those relatable examples, whether it was $9 eggs, or something that maybe what labor costs, and just as a way to, very matter of fact, of explain this is why.
Yeah.
That's something that's a little more understandable and relatable. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't,
Right.
but it does arm our team with examples that they can use, and maybe that people can understand. So I think those things are huge. You talked a little bit about a leader. Talk about how you've evolved as a leader over the last 19 years.
I mean, I will say I think I had a little bit of advantage overseeing 56 stores in San Antonio and a lot of folks, right?
Yeah.
So I do recognize that, but it's different when you own your own business, like, right? Because I don't have an HR team, I don't have a hiring team, I don't have somebody to fill out the paperwork. I mean, that's me. Like I'm the chief cook and bottle washer for so many years. Even to this day, my CPA now for the last probably 8 years or 10 years takes care of my stuff. But just as a leader, just focusing on them and being more intentional with them. I'm a driver. And in my mind, when I say, hey, can you get this done? I really am not quite understanding why you didn't do that 2 days ago.
Yeah. Right.
But I can't say that.
Yes.
Right? And that's a hard one that I think, and that comes with, I'll say, the gray hair on my head, right? The maturity that says, hey, by when do you think you can get this, and what assistance do you need from me, versus why in the hell haven't you done it?
Yeah.
Probably 20 years ago, that's probably what it would have came out of my mouth, and it would have been frustration. And now it's more of a deep pause and understanding. But I also will say it comes back to my background where I taught the disc profile for years and years. And I still, everybody that I hire, they do two different things. One is they do career maze, and then the second thing is the disc profile. And that way I know what I'm getting. And I also get to be inside their mind to know how they think and know how to treat them. Like I know there's some people in my group I can be very direct with, and there's some that I can't because it would probably hurt them to the core. And so many times it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah, right. I think that nailed it for me was in my mind years back, I thought I was approaching it in a good way and mindful of what I said, but I think it was how I would say it. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe my face said it differently. You know what I mean?
Body language is huge, my friend.
Because, and I think I have adapted that way. And maybe I think that comes with age and experience. And realizing, and I like what you said about being a driver, and I feel the same way of that's how, a lot of us are wired. That's how a lot of business owners are wired of we're going to get it done. It's not, it took me a long time to understand, well, our team doesn't think that way.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, their daughter's having a really bad day.
Right.
And so, I had to be really mindful of adjusting my approach, and I think it's helped. So yeah, but it takes practice and it takes understanding. Do you think, I noticed that you have a background in sports and athletics? Do you think that's helped kind of just because we're accustomed to being on a team?
Yeah.
And working together?
There's no doubt. In fact, I insure my high school coach and I insure my college basketball coach.
Okay.
So both of them have been probably the biggest influential leaders in my life. And really, I can remember especially my high school coach, just pushing me to the nth degree. And I remember one day going, why don't you go pick on somebody else? Like, why are you freaking picking on me all the time? And she said, Blackwell, because I know you can do more. And you should be more worried when I don't pick on you, because then I don't care. And I'm like, I mean, I was like, what, 17 years old?
Right.
I had no idea. But now I reflect back is that she was making me who I am today so that I could be the leader on the court and I could be the cheerleader, because I'm a huge pom-poms in your hands, not cheerleader in that aspect. Yeah. I'm very motivational, want to have fun, but I need to drive people.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is everything.
And they could see more in you and trying to pull it out, and probably knew you could take it.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, that's not true in the beginning. Oh. I'm a crier. Let's just be real, right? And so when I'm really mad, I might say some cuss words. I'm going to cry. Those are the two things that happen day in and day out. Not day in and day out, but especially my past. So my coach said, yeah, we used to see if we could make Blackwell cry because we wanted her to be so frustrated that she could handle it on the court. She goes, we used to take bets. Now, of course, they don't tell me that until now. But
yeah, right.
We used to take bets on who could make Blackwell cry first. And I'm like, y'all are mean. She goes, look where you're at today, Tracey. I said, I know, Coach. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I think it does make a big difference. Someone with a background in athletics, just understanding what a team and I don't think that early in my ownership career that I was looking at it that way of working as a team. I might have been saying some of the buzzwords,
right,
but I wasn't acting that way to get us, until I started to open up, like, this is where we want to go, and to be more transparent of where we wanted to go and how we all play a role in getting there. It's, and that comes from athletics, of being on a team and having one goal and working together. So I think it's a huge help.
And Brad, you're only as strong as the weakest player on your bench.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you think games can be won or lost because if you're down a person, somebody else has to step up. They need to be able to step up. And so who's in your pipeline to keep growing and doing the next thing and challenging them for more? Because if not, they get bored, right? But they can do more. I just had this whole conversation with my leads person yesterday. Said they can do more because I don't want you to do more. It's teaching her now. I'm like, this isn't your problem. You need to have people do it, and that's how you get things done. Because if not, I said, you're gonna burn out. I don't want you to burn out. So When are you going to start building the bench even more?
Yeah. Um, what type of role does Wendy play?
She's all new business, all new business. So
Okay.
all my referral sources, she works directly with the mortgage, the anybody that comes in. And
Okay.
now she'll also, it's Wendy and Audra both take all new leads, right?
Okay.
And there's some mortgage that work directly with Audra, financial planners work with Audra or Wendy. And now that we've got to the point that they're also working the producers leads or
Okay.
producer Abby's leads because I told her the 50 butt rule, you need to get out there. I don't want you in the office. I don't want you quoting. I just want you out. And if we get backed up, you might have to quote, but these ladies are like 100 times faster than you and me. We need to let them utilize their gifts for performance.
Yeah. Do you have an operations type person, or is that Tracy?
Well, no, it's just me. And
Yeah.
then, like I said, the one handles retention and service, and then it's me.
Yeah. I asked because I mean that's something I feel like I need
Mhm.
in my agency. To handle to help with HR type work and making sure our processes are being handled. And we all wear so many hats,
Mhm.
and that is not one of my specialty hats. I don't think so. Um, until until I met with Carrie Wallace, and she says, "Well, how are you going to afford that?" Good point. So so we're going to hold off on that for now. But what I was thinking when I saw that with your size of team, that's a lot of people reporting to you. That's a lot. It's a lot to take
Mhm.
on too.
Mhm.
So what
I
what would
trust them, and they're also very self-managed. I mean,
yeah
because they know my expectations, and I know when I come in, they know. I mean, today I went and hit each one just to check in on them where they're at. And I said, okay, you got the capacity. I need you to work on these cross sells. And so I truly do have a pulse of what's going on in the agency to push them, and I'll check back in around lunchtime. I've got an appointment, and then I've got some things this afternoon. But they know that I'm going to inspect what I expect.
mm,
So they know
yeah
I'm coming back around to say, okay, what did you get done? Because if you don't inspect what you expect, then you're never going to rise the bar. You got to
yeah
keep pushing them along the way.
yeah I love that. Inspect what you expect.
Right.
That's perfect. What would you say, as a business owner, have been some of your biggest challenges?
Um, Gosh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Making mistakes with hires, I can
Yeah.
say, actually, I was showing Wendy these questions and I said, what was my biggest mistake? She goes, you're hiring. I'm like, yeah, you're right, right? Because sometimes I've hired the wrong person because I looked at them through rose-colored glasses, right?
Mhm.
That there's two things I did wrong is I just made the decision, and you heard the word I. There's no I in team, right? I
Yeah.
made the decision. This is who I'm hiring. I'm not in the office. They get to deal with them, and they will eat them up, spit them out real
Yeah.
quick. Like if they're not part of this, what they call the fan band, like they got to be part of it.
Yeah.
So once I let them start being a part of that whole process, it changed. And there's a reason why you want to do that is because if they're part of that process, they have ownership in that success.
Yes.
If they're not part of the process, sometimes they're sitting on the outside trying to sink the boat.
Yeah.
Make that person sink, right? And not always, but I can tell you I've made some pretty bad choices along the way. You live and learn and you kind of move on. But the other thing is I didn't do is, and now I do it with everybody, and it's careermaze.com, and it's like $25. But if somebody wants to come work here, I tell them, well, go do career maze, send me your results. Like I'm not going to pay for it. If you really want a
Mhm.
job for me, with me, then you pay for it. Because here's what I did a long time ago when I said, hey God, if I ever get to the dream job, I promise always to pay it forward. I'll always help somebody that they're not sure what they're going to do. I want to be that person to help them along the way. So I just had somebody send me the results just the other day. And the reality is, if it's not with me, then I can say, hey, I'm not hiring right now. And I think your gifts that you were given are well suited over here.
Mm.
And that's what I think. And then I'll say, hey, call a buddy of mine, ask them just to have her cup of coffee and meet with them. So I do. The only way to get in my office, like they screen all my calls, unless you say career counseling. And if you say career counseling, they don't even talk to me. They'll just schedule 30 minutes on the schedule
Nice.
because that's how important it is. Because um, you got to take care of people, especially in this market right now when people are losing their jobs and the layoffs and um, people have gifts. They're sometimes in the wrong job.
Yeah. Right. So I want to touch on that a little bit, the career counseling piece. That's something that your team will say that so and so needs career counseling, and then they'll schedule something, or your client will.
And people just know that I do it because I've
Okay.
done it for so long. I was at with the real estate and with the mortgage broker for a client appreciation like 3 weeks ago, and this customer who's now my customer, and of course I didn't quite realize he was my customer. And he goes, I want to thank you. And I said, oh, I said for being, and he said, because you're my insurance agent. I said, oh, I said thank you. He goes, no, 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 no. He said, you did career counseling with me.
Mm.
And I honestly, if I have to be honest, I don't remember, but because I do it so much that because again, I feel like I got to keep letting go, letting God, and providing hope for those that don't have hope at that time. And if it's my way of saying you're going to be okay, you keep trying to go back to what you know, but there's all these other opportunities you're missing where you might be happy. Because that's what I was doing. I mean, I was thinking, I should just stay in retail. But, I was missing the holidays with my kids and my spouse was working. I kept kind of trying to go back to what I was doing until I finally just had enough trust and faith and blind faith to go do this thing called insurance.
Mm.
So career maze is a big bonus, and I don't spend a lot of money anywhere else because you're going to get out of that. And if it doesn't say, depending on what you're trying to hire, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to hire an inside person, if it doesn't say bank, like a telebanker, banker, or inside sales, they're not the right person. Even if you like them a lot, don't hire them. Unless it says insurance producer, don't hire them. And
Hmm.
I did that recently, and I shouldn't have hired that person. Again, I'm still kind of thick-headed, so I want to make it work so bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, find anybody that hasn't made a hiring mistake.
I've made several.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah. I mean, even the best. Oh, I actually, that brings me to another question. It's hard though.
Yeah.
It's really hard because you can see it, and then with that, when you get your team involved of the hiring, do you get the whole team, or do you
Mhm.
have kind of a select, team members, kind of like a leadership group or a hiring group? You you get them all involved.
It's really interesting. So I'll talk to the person, I get the results, and they, based on their skill sets, yep, they probably would. Based on their work history and their resume, they'll be good. And then I'll say, why don't you just come hang out with us for a while? We start at 8:30 in the morning. Come hang out with us. I never give them an end time,
Mm.
and there's a reason why. If somebody comes in and out in less than 20 minutes, they're just checking a box,
Yeah, right.
right? But then I'll just say, just go spend time with each person in each cubicle and ask them all the questions about their job, what they like, what they don't like. Because trust me, they're going to tell you. They're brutally honest. I said, but more importantly, you need to ask about me.
Yeah.
Because as a leader, what do you like about? And they'll tell you right away. They'll know that if I'm twitching, that means I'm frustrated and that they need to get their shit done, right? So they know that they know me, that they're willing to do it. So I've had, and it actually works out really good because if there's somebody that has like a question mark, we don't hire them.
Yeah.
And if it's
Right.
one person that raises it, then I'll say, okay, we group together right after they leave. What do you think? And if I don't get a thumbs up from everybody, because I'm not going to be here all the time,
Yeah.
they are, and they have to have buy-in. I'm like, okay, if we bring them on, who's going to be the main trainer? Who's going to be working with them? Who's going to be doing this? And because if not, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting concept. I don't have something like that, and I need to implement it. My concern is that, I'm going to have 6 people that agree and one person that says, "No, I don't like them," you know, and, um, and then where do you go? If you establish something and say, "This needs to be 100% in a universal acceptance,"
Mhm.
and if you hire somebody when you believe that it's gonna work out and you go against, maybe one person's recommendation, when you said, "I need a, 100% buy-in," and that's not gonna look good. They're gonna think, "Why did you ask me then?" That's my
Yeah.
concern. Maybe that's not the case. So that's why I asked if you used kind of a select few that maybe had more of a skill set
Mhm.
of,
And,
looking
you
to.
know, I think they're going to make the right decision, right? And
Yeah,
and they know that I trust them, and that if and we've passed on people that I'm like, are you sure? And
yeah,
they're like, yeah, and I'm like, okay. But when you look at the retention on my team,
yeah,
I mean, yes, I take care of my pay and well. I give them 401k. I match 4%. I give them life insurance. I give them a lot.
yeah,
But more importantly, they feel like they're playing to something bigger, if you will. I mean, I've had one gal that showed up at my door and said, I know this is weird. I live real close by. I follow you on social media, and I feel like God said I should be
mm,
working here. I said, well, if God's talking to you, I need to be listening through you. So and she's a retired school teacher, and she works 3 days a week, and it works out great.
yeah,
So um, you just gotta. I think you know what, Brad. I think it is. That's a story you're telling yourself in your head that may or may not be true.
yeah,
Give it a try and
yeah,
see, and then kind of work from them and say, okay, we've got 6 candidates. We need to find one. There's a pony in
yeah,
there somewhere, and then kind of go from there.
yeah. No, I agree with you. Well, I'm hiring right now, and
Yeah,
I'm going through the interview process right now, and that's how close it is,
yeah,
and I'm going through a final interview stage starting next week. So I'm just working in my mind how I'm gonna want to implement that.
yeah.
Um, I think as a good segue into somebody that found you on social media and said, "This is a place that I want to work,"
Hmm.
which is a testament to, you and your organization and the equity that you've built in your community. I like what you say that you have a servant's heart, and it's not just saying it; it is clear. You're living it,
Hmm.
and I want you to touch on that, but I want to name just a few of what you've been involved in the last month. I didn't go back the whole year on your social media. This was enough to touch on. So some of these that you've been involved in, and I've seen the pictures to see that you are all in and involved in or sponsored. Bras for a Cause, Blue Santa Toy Drive, Brit's Gift, A True Light Christmas, a charity golf tournament. I don't remember the name of that one. Oktoberfest, which was my personal favorite. Oktoberfest for Alzheimer's. So talk about a couple of your favorite events that you're involved in throughout the year.
Yeah, I would say there's some staple events that we do every year. And Oktoberfest, we just finished up and we raised, I think, $38,000
Wow.
for Alzheimer's. And that's near and dear to me. My spouse, parents, and aunts all passed from it. And so when you, as she would say, is when you have that mess, you got to make it your message, right? So I can either sit here and do nothing, or hey, if these cards are stacked against me, I feel like I should do something to try to help find a cure for Alzheimer's. So that one is fun. Plus, we're a German community.
Okay.
New Braunfels, we have Wurstfest coming up next. In fact, I think it kicks off tonight or tomorrow in New Braunfels. So we just have Stein holding. We have a lot of gifts. I bring in a professional auctioneer, and every dollar that is spent on the event actually comes out of my family's account. That's something we
Wow.
sponsor, and everything, and all of our sponsors, all that goes straight towards um, finding a cure. So that one I think is near and dear to my heart. The other one is that is coming up is John's Kids. That's my father's nonprofit. He's 83 years old. Yesterday I was his Uber driver because he wanted to go take candy to one of the schools that we support and trunk for treat and pass out candy to these kids. We
Mm,
sponsor 7 Title I schools through a nonprofit called John's Kids. We do school supplies, peanut butter and jelly. In fact, December, we've done it now probably for at least 10 years. We do pictures with Santa. You bring in peanut butter and jelly. I hire a photographer. We take pictures. I share the cost. Very minimal. I think sometimes people think, oh, I can't do that because it costs so much. It really doesn't. When you get people to help, people want to help others, right? So if you
Yeah.
get people in, so I have a mortgage guy that has been sponsoring the Santa one forever. And we'll have, and Santa's contract, by the way, it's 4 pages. I'm like, this is like longer than some of my insurance contracts, right? I got to have the temperature down to 65 degrees. I have to have front row parking. If I want Mrs. Claus, she costs more or whatever. But all that's for John's kids. And something I'm pretty proud of is when we built this office 3 years ago, right off my lobby, we built a room with the glass door with shelving. And it's like a huge closet, at least 12 by 5. All of that is for peanut butter and jelly and school supplies. People bring us peanut butter and jelly all year long, and we just store it in there and then we deliver it. So we're a conduit to serve that, and that really comes from my father. My father has taught me, you just step up and serve. We talked about it this morning. On the way to work, I talk to him all the time, and he's like, Bud, thank you so much for taking me. He said, it was a lot of fun, right? I said, yeah, Dad, it really was. He said, you just have to keep serving. I said, yes, sir. I'll always serve. So when you have great parents that role model,
Yeah.
And there's also, I'll tell you, there's sometimes, Brad, that I think I don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
And the minute that I get to that point, I show up, and guess what always happens? My bucket is filled.
Yeah.
Whether it's personally, it might be filled financially because I'm making connections. But there's some days going thinking, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And it's a huge missed opportunity of getting rejuvenated. To see all these kids in Halloween costumes yesterday was great, but it was even better watching my 83-year-old father pass out candy. And we showed up as twins. We both had on our cowboy hats, our cowboy boots, and neither one was doing that. So I got to twin with my father, my 83-year-old father, yesterday.
And I love that about which is kind of a natural consequence of it. Yes, you have so many things going on. I don't have time to go to this, but I totally get that. It fills your cup and gives you, and it gives you energy and inspires you, and that means a lot to you, to Tracey. That's tough to put a price tag on that. Do you think that because this is obviously a part of your core value that you live? Do you think that's led to the longevity a lot of your team because they're involved in something with a purpose? It's not just an insurance office.
That's right. And they know that. They know whatever I'm signing up for, they're signing up for right alongside with me.
Yeah.
So whatever that is. But they get so excited for all the different events because they have just as much fun. I mean, we'll do cowboy breakfast, and they'll be out here. We'll have a fire pit providing breakfast tacos when rodeo kicks off. And it's just, you've got to keep breaking up the monotony of the day of just, so this gives us opportunity to go have some fun and break it up along the way.
Yeah. And doing an awful lot of good too. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Great work.
Thank you. But I'll say that I do it if I didn't like to do it, Brad, and if it didn't bring me joy, I wouldn't do it. Right. So I'm at a point in my life, if I really enjoy doing it, I'm all in. But because I know that when I say yes to something, I'm also saying no to something else. And so I'm also, I've been asked to serve on boards, chamber. I'm not involved in the chamber. I'm not involved on boards. I've been board president of many things, but right now my time is focused on my team, keeping them healthy, keeping my community, doing things to make a difference in my community. And it's also interesting, years ago, when I first started doing this, again, I don't know how to sell. I didn't know how to sell. I got a paycheck every Thursday, and somebody needed help with their resume. I was like, oh yeah, I can help you, come on over. And I went home and I talked to my spouse about doing this. And they were like, that's not selling. And I go, I didn't have anything else to do. So that's what I did, right? And then fast forward, the conversation was, oh my God, your passion for serving and helping others has allowed and afforded us this opportunity because people like to help people that are helping others. At the end of the day, your reputation, I always tell people the only thing I have at the end of the day is my reputation. I'll do everything I can to protect it.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to be a flashy
Mhm.
salesperson to sell and with your um really serving and
Mhm.
helping.
Right.
People need help with their insurance. I mean,
Yeah.
and that goes a lot further than wowing them about their bodily injury need that they have.
Mhm. They're like,
I
Tracy,
mean,
just tell me what I need. I'm like, all right, here's what you need. Let's go.
yeah. Last question for you. What does T Blackwell Insurance, or what would you like T Blackwell Insurance to improve on looking ahead to 2024?
Financials. And that's what we've been focused on. I told folks that we need to, I think what happens is, early on, especially Dave Ramsey, I mean, I didn't borrow money in the business until I built this building and I had to order phones and I couldn't get my phones. And I'm like, why can't I get my phones? And they said, y'all said they're going to be here. And then he come back and goes, we couldn't find a credit score in the business. And I said, no, there's not one. If I couldn't afford it, I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
And so I paid cash for everything. And so then I think what happens as you start to get what I'm calling a little bit that those are the lean and mean years, right? When you're first starting and you're watching every penny. And then I think you just kind of get I don't want to say lazy, but you just like get complacent. The money's coming, you're not looking at
Yeah.
every single penny. And especially if you know how I'm wired, right? Like I'm a high D driver, but I'm also a high I. I want to have fun while we're doing it. So when it comes down to the details of the business, I hire and surround myself with people to save me from myself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so when it goes down to the financials, is really looking at what am I signed up for that's just on auto draft,
Yeah.
like and going through the pennies of the business. And we're doing it right now because I told them this in this hard market, I want to be the one that we're still growing. I want to be
Yeah.
the one that's still driving the bottom line dollars. And I still want to be able to afford more opportunities for more people to be hired and more opportunities for you. And it comes down to if this was your money and you were writing the check, if you could save $2 on the case of toilet paper, would you do it? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And we don't look at the pennies the same way.
Yeah. I wonder if there's going to be some difficult decisions for you in there with some things that you may want to or may need to cut that you've been doing for a long time.
I wouldn't say that because what I'll say is that we just have to be cost conscious. I talked to my producer, my producer, my business development rep. I said, I need you to find things to do that don't cost as much because we focus so much on the real estate and the mortgage. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Right? So now we got to back up and pedal. Okay. Let's say what I don't want to do. I don't want to do commercial, right? So what do I
Right.
have to do? Life, and I really love life insurance. My mom died at 50 years of age, and so I have a story of why
Yeah.
people need life insurance. And so, and that I paid out my first life policy 2 months ago.
Mhm.
Heart wrenching as it was, like thank God I had it, right? And so
Yeah.
that's what I want my team to understand is that we don't have to cut anything. I want to grow, and we're going
Yeah.
to do that through pivoting and focusing on things of what we can do. Like I tell my producer, okay, well you're not going to get a house in that neighborhood. Don't go with that. We can write we can write car insurance and we can write renters. We can write condos, especially here in Texas. Focus on what we can do, not what we can't do. I said I don't want to hear all the stuff that we can't do.
Yeah.
There's a lot we can't do, but there's a lot of things we can do and what can we do. So it's a constant reminder with my new business team, my producer, everybody. What can we do? Even my service team, I'm so proud of them. They're a younger group, but they're always asking for the business, which I'm so proud
Yeah.
of. And it doesn't come easy because they'd rather text somebody. I'm like, no, flip and call them because it's so much faster. If you just call them and get the information, get off the phone instead of 5 emails back and forth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's great. Tracy, this has been fantastic. Thank you very much for taking the time today. It was great to chat with you for a little bit. And I'm glad we are able to get it in. I know you have a very busy schedule, so thank you for taking the time.
anything I can do for you, Brad, personally, please reach out and call me. I thank you for the opportunity, and it's fun.
I
Enjoy the
will.
snow. Don't bring it to Texas,
No, I
but
won't.
enjoy
I
the people
won't.
up there.
I won't. Hang on for me just a second here when I shut
Yeah.
this thing down. Everyone else, thank you very much for listening in on another episode of the Agents to Owners podcast, and we'll see you next week.